Good evening, friends, followers and channel members. Happy Friday. The weekend is upon us. Time for another real ops flight. Now that we've passed our line check, we've got to get out of here. And to be fair, Almeria is not the easiest airport to get out of. A little bit more about that in our departure brief. Anyway, good evening to all of you. Good evening, Raspberry Music. Hope you're well. Von McLean, Christian Starmer, and Paul Eddy. Good to see you as well, Paul. Hope you are all doing well and looking forward to what I hope will be a relaxing weekend. We're going to kick it off with a flight then here from Almeria to... oh, good lord, where is it, this place? Forgive the pronunciation. Biarritz Pays Basque Airport, which is basically right on the northwest corner where Spain meets France. Sorry, northeast corner where Spain meets France. Depending on the approach, we would come in over the Atlantic. Sadly, that's not the case. I think we're actually coming in on runway 27, which, to be honest, at night time is probably a little bit easier because, of course, at night time, pitch black, we like to have something to see. Sadly, render scaling, of course, has had to be downgraded to 100 purely because the lights following World Update number 6 no longer work correctly. So we've got around that just now. In the hope that will be that will be fine. We'll check that out obviously as we're flying. Anyway, let's get on board. We are on VATSIM tonight. We're going to get passengers on board pretty soon. Let me just clear the stream starting soon text, and we'll get on board. So as you can see, the aircraft is currently in a turnaround state. We're going to get some fuel loaded. Now the operational flight plan, let's get that in the chat for those of you watching on YouTube. So I'll just pin that to the top for if anyone wants a copy of the operational flight plan. That is coming to you now. Sorry if my voice is sounding a little bit croaky. I'm suffering from cold, of course. The kids have gone back to school, haven't they? So that means we all have to suffer. Right, operational flight plan is now there for you. You should have that to look at. So, having had a look at the operational flight plan, then ahead of the flight, as all pilots do regard when they're doing their pre-flight briefing. The weather shouldn't be an obstacle tonight. Everything should be absolutely fine. Nevertheless, anything can happen. So we always plan to take a little bit more fuel than required. The plan block fuel is 5.4 tons. If we take an extra half a ton, that should be fine. So we're going to take 5.9. So we'll take 5.9 tons, and we're going to start to get that loaded right now. Type that in there. There we go. Real time and go. Right, refueling then is currently underway. Dr. Magic, good evening. So with refueling underway, and we need to obviously get ahead and do our preliminary cockpit prep. We can also start getting passengers on board. The fact that it's a turnaround state does mean that a lot of the stuff has, of course, already been done. So let's just kick self-loading cargo into action, and we'll get them boarded. So the main door is now open, as we can see on the lower ECAM, and the passengers are indeed starting to board. So with the overhead cockpit prep is where it needs to be at the moment. Fuel pumps are off, refueling is currently underway, seatbelt signs are off, everything down here looks fine as well. At the moment the flight deck door is open. Oh, that wasn't like that when I set the aircraft up. Let's pop that back to standby, and actually we should also squawk 2000. There we go. So switching panel is all fine. We already have the guard frequency on there. We're currently on Unicom on VATSIM. Thrust levers are idle. Spoilers, rudder, flaps, parking brake, etc. All good. Up to the FCU, I know that our initial climb clearance is going to be above 10,000 feet, so I'm happy to set that now. I think ATC may be online actually, so we'll give them a call a little bit later on, and we'll find out what that is. So we'll turn the constraints on as well. Instrument panel is all fine. IRS is already aligned. Let's just come down and set up the box. So if we come down here, we'll go to the ATSO menu, AOC, performance weights and balance. Oh, hang on. I need to go back one step, go to the unit press. 1 hour 18 minutes, the flight time today. So now we can load our passengers. A payload of 18512, just check that against the OFP. 18512, zero fuel weight of 59.5, again that's fine. Let's just mix up the loading of the aircraft, shall we? There we go. Okay, so let's load that, check the gross weight increases as we do. There we go, passenger weights are now on. So IRS3 nav green, that's all okay. Aircraft status LEAP engines, and we have the up-to-date valid Airac cycle which came out yesterday. So with that, let's get the uplink from the company headquarters. Just while I'm doing this, guys, for those of you that may not be familiar with the channel will know, or rather should I say, those that are familiar with the channel will know that I don't pay too much attention to the chat just while we're setting this up. I will talk through things, and then once we're pushing back, and then once we're airborne, then we'll have plenty of time to answer any questions you might have. Right, so our alternate is Bordeaux this evening. Lima Fox Bravo Delta. Call sign tonight is Easyjet Europe, which is Alpine 34 Alpha Mike. Cost index of 8, flight level 380, and temperature minus 58 according to the OFP. We'll pop that in. Tropo is 41,800 feet, so we can just update that as well. To be fair, I don't think that's going to make too much difference. Only a few hundred feet difference there. Okay, our flight plan then. Now this is going to be very interesting, this departure. I'll show you why when I get the charts up and we do the briefing. But we're departing on runway 25, and it is the RISPO 1 Yankee. So let me just go down and find that. RISPO 1 Yankee. And insert, we can clear that discontinuity straight out of there. And then the arrival is an ILS approach, runway 27 Zulu, and that is the Donos 9 Victor arrival. Dono 9 Victor. Let's just check which is the initial approach fix as we come in on that. Let's have a look. Donos 9 Victor, initial approach fix is Eureka. So is that in there? Oh, that's strange. Hang on then. Let's just have a look and see. The initial fix, India Bravo Zulu 27. Oh, don't you just love it when a plan comes together? Oh, hang on. It'll be the 501. We're coming from the south. 501. Let's pop that in. We'll go through and check this anyway. Insert 487 miles. 485 miles on the OFP. So that's fine. Flight Sim 123, by default it's always the Zulu. Yankee and X-Ray are usually, and I say usually because that's not all the time, but Yankee and X-Ray are normally reserved for if something is unserviceable, like a VOR used on the missed approach go around. So it's always the Zulu. 99% of the time. There are a couple of airports where that doesn't apply, but the charts will usually identify that. Right, so distance looks spot on. Now, our departure. Let's have a look at our departure. We'll do a full briefing in a minute, but I'm going to need the Alpha Mike Romeo VOR. We'll get that tuned in. And we're also going to need to have, just in case we have a problem on departure, on the prog page, we're going to pop in the Maxet waypoint. all will become clear a little bit later on. There we go, 18.5 miles away. Okay, so onto the init B page, 59.5 tons, the zero fuel weight, centre of gravity 28.8. Now our trip wind is a slight headwind of 3. The winds, the weather really is very calm tonight, so it should be beautiful. Fuel planning is 4.6, and we've got 5.9. So let's go ahead and pop that in. Colin, good evening, sir. Hope you're well. Fuel for our alternate is around 1.2 tons. There we go, that gives us an extra 27 minutes flying time. So on to the performance then. Transition altitude here at Almeria is 6,000. Thrust reduction acceleration is 1,070. To be fair, it's only 20 feet off, but just for accuracy's sake, we shall update it. Flaps 1, and calculate those V-speeds. Okay, so that is the box all set up. Final thing to do is just check what this departure looks like now. Let me just see how this this looks. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Right, okay, so at the moment the experimental version cannot fly DME arcs, which means we're going to have to do this manually, which is going to be interesting. So let's turn the VOR on. So a little bit more about how we're going to do that in our briefing in a moment, but let's just scroll through and check what the arrival looks like. Yeah, so that arrival looks okay. Let me just cross-reference that with that approach. So from Donos and then Eureka. Is that one on there? Yes, there it is. You can just see at the top left-hand corner of the box, which I move in there, and we'll just come back in and around to make that approach. Okay. So now I'm happy with how that looks. Let's discuss how we're going to do this. So we are currently at stand number 22. No tug required, so we're going to start engines on the stand. We'll then taxi out via Delta onto Tango 2. Or onto Tango just in general. Then we'll hold at Sierra 4 for departing runway 25. On departure then, let's have a look at that SID. So when we get to 15 miles from the Almeria VOR, which we can see just here, we have to fly a 17-mile DME arc. So we're going to have to do this manually by tracking the VOR and holding 17 miles, and we'll keep turning it at sort of a 90-degree angle in order to get that, turning 10 degrees at the time, using the FCU to try and fly as close to a 17-mile DME arc as we can. In the real aircraft, of course, this would all be coded into the navigation computer, and it would work absolutely fine, just leaving the autopilot on. Then once we cross the 351 radial, then we make a left turn to Rispo. So what I need to do as well is pop in the 351 radial on that RadNav page. There we go. So after takeoff, this is what we're going to be tracking. Now I'm also just going to pop in the Almeria VOR on to DME VOR 2. So now we can actually see that arrow, we can use that as our guidance for that 90-degree turn. It will become a lot clearer once we're actually doing it. At the moment, obviously, it's perhaps a little bit difficult to explain, but we'll see how it works as we're flying. Okay, so that is how we're going to fly the departure route. Let's just check a couple of other things. The weather here in Almeria is very nice, no problems here, so if we don't have a problem we can return to the airport. We're below the maximum landing weight, so we don't need to burn off any extra fuel or land running the overweight checklist. The aircraft is the experimental version. We know that the terrain radar is in op, which is a great shame regarding this airport. We know that TCAS is in op, as is the weather radar. Weather radar wouldn't be a problem tonight. Beautiful weather. No TAMs, nothing that's going to concern us for this flight this evening. Threats to be aware of is the terrain as we fly out of Bilbao then. As we fly out of Almeria, we are going to get very close to the hills, and I think it even says, there you go, expect close-in obstacles on this departure. So the biggest threat to us is the terrain and the fact that I've got to manually fly this this DME arc. So let's have a look at the emergency briefing. If we have any problems on the ground during the taxi, we'll stop the aircraft and tell air traffic control. On departure, it's going to be my takeoff. If we have any warnings before 100 knots, then we'll consider stopping, but after 100 knots and up to V1, we only stop for ECAM warnings, cautions, engine fire or failure, with or without thrust loss, or if we think the aircraft is unsafe to fly. If that's the case, we'll call stop, go max reverse, keep the aircraft nice and straight on the runway, and use manual braking if auto brake isn't stopping us as well as I think it should. And I shall also attempt to point the aircraft into the wind if we've had a fire warning. After we've stopped, we need to stow the reversers, set the parking brake, announce cabin crew attention all stations, and then we'll just take a moment to ascertain why we have stopped. Once we've established the cause of the failure, we can either complete the ECAM and vacate the runway. Of course, if it was something more serious like an engine fire, we would have to initiate the evacuation of the aircraft. However, a failure after V1, we have to get the aircraft into the air. If it's an engine failure, then we'll have to fly using standard technique, rotating at 12.5-degree pitch, and then following SRS, using rudder to counteract the yaw. And then once we have a positive rate of climb, we'll get the gear up, trim out the yaw, and then engage the autopilot. We will need to pull the heading bug, however, and not remain in nav mode, and it is a non-standard engine out departure just here. So what we will need to do is, when we are 13 miles, we're going to fly straight, but then once we are 13 miles from the Almeria VOR, we make a left-hand turn to a heading of 200 degrees, and then at 2,000 feet, another left turn to the Maxit holding point, which is what we have programmed in at the progress page, so we know where that is. Once the engine is secure and we're above the single engine acceleration altitude and we've completed that first turn, we'll push the level off, accelerate, retract the flaps on schedule, and at green dot we'll pull open climb and set maximum continuous thrust. Once we've got to the holding point, we'll decide what it is on earth we are going to do. But as I said earlier, the weather's great here, so I don't have any problems with regards to returning. Right, I think whilst I was doing that brief, I heard that boarding was all completed. Looks like refueling's completed too.
Hi Gavin, all the passengers are on board and we're ready to go. I'll bring you a cup of tea after we've taken off.
Great stuff, thank you very much.
So APU is running, and I am just going to check if we've got air traffic control online. No, sadly we don't. We don't have air traffic control online, so we are on our own. That's fine. Once the APU is up and running, we'll run the before start checklist. Now, for the eagle-eyed viewers of the channel, we'll know that first mistake was whilst passengers were boarding, we should have already had the APU running. That's a COVID thing, and something I keep forgetting. Ordinarily, you delay the start of the APU as late as possible, just to save fuel and noise regulations at airport, but since COVID, all that's gone out of the window. They want fresh air in the cabin as much as possible. Good evening, Doc. Good evening, Jayhog. Hope you're both well. Good evening to Klaus Hansen as well. Right, APU is available. APU bleed is now on. External power can come off. I think we've got a GPU, a physical one. Yep, there it is. That can now go away.
Approved rebound on cross-check.
Right, so then, final checks, and then we shall run the before start checklist. So, cockpit preparation is completed. Signs on and auto. Ideas 3 nav green. Fuel quantity 5880 kilograms and balanced. Flight management guidance system is all set. Altimeter is 1016. Checklist completed to the line. And the cabin crew have closed and armed the doors. We'll welcome everybody on board, and we shall look to get those engines started. So, pushback is not required here. Let's get the rotating beacon light on. Acupressure is in the green. Transponder is set. And now, let's run the before start checklist below the line. Windows and doors are closed and armed. Rotating beacon light is on. Mobile phone is off, and parking brake is on. Okay, so with that, we'll start engine 1 and we'll welcome our passengers on board. Engine mode selector to ignition, and starting engine 1. Almeria traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, parking stand 22, starting engines on stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck this morning, let me welcome you on board this Easyjet aircraft as you settle in for what we hope is going to be a most enjoyable flight. The weather today doesn't look to be causing much of a problem, so we should have a nice smooth ride for you throughout the duration of the flight. And as the cabin crew continue making their last preparations, if you could please assist them by getting yourselves sat down, your seatbelts fastened, and make yourselves nice and comfortable. The ground crew have now finished loading the aircraft, and we're just about finished with all our pre-flight checks, so it won't be long until we are pushing back. If you could please give the cabin crew your full attention as they go through the safety briefing, we'd very much appreciate it. So on behalf of myself and the first officer, we'd like to say thank you for choosing Easyjet today, and we look forward to giving you a safe flight.
Engine number 1 stabilised, starting engine number 2. I've seen a few people having this issue where the aircraft just doesn't show up. They've kind of got a ghost aircraft. The only thing that I can think of, I mean it's not happened to me, but check your installed packages, and I would bet some good money that there is an old outdated package. Remove any fly-by-wire package that you have got installed in your content manager, not your community folder but the content manager itself, and once you've done that, then re-download the aircraft using the fly-by-wire installer, and fingers crossed that should fix it. Roland, you flew to Almeria in 74 from Gatwick on British Caledonian. Wow. You attend the airport, which is much smaller. Well, it's not that big now, to be honest with you. Right, I'm getting a speed brake warning on the ECAM. I think that's my hardware playing up. We've had that happen before, so let's disable the hardware, and that's fixed that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now ask for your attention.
Engine number 2 stabilised.
A safety card is in your seat pocket, showing the exit routes. oxygen masks, life jackets, and brace position that you must adopt if you hear brace, brace. There are 2 emergency exits at the rear, 4 in the middle, and 2 at the front of the cabin. Floor lighting will guide you to an exit. Please be aware that your nearest exit may be behind you. In an emergency, leave all cabin baggage on board. Your seatbelt is fastened, adjusted, and released as shown. It must be fastened when the seatbelt signs are on, and we recommend that you keep it fastened at all times. If the air supply fails, masks will drop from above you. Pull a mask towards you to start the oxygen. Put the mask over your nose and mouth. Hold in place with the strap. Pull on each side.
Callum, thank you so much for your donation. Callum says, as it's Friday night, I'd like to get you a pint as a small token of gratitude for everything we do for the FlightSim community. Callum, you are more than welcome, and thank you very, very much for that very generous donation there, Callum. When I get on the ground, I guarantee I will take you up on the offer of a pint. So, let's just run the after start checklist. Anti-ice not required. ECAV status checked. Pitch trim is 28.8 and the rudder trim is 0.
We wish you a pleasant flight with Easyjet.
So, just double check again, no air traffic control around, that's fine. And once more, double checking those charts so we know where we're going. I've not taxied here before, and taxiing at night time isn't always easy if the signs aren't correct. So we are straight out, over to the right, and then back on taxiway Delta that we can see just there. So, the pushback tug won't disappear, sadly, even though we don't need him. Let's get our taxi light on. And we'll run the we've run the after start checklist, haven't we? So that's okay. Let's make a call on Unicom, and then we can look to start moving. I'll also ding the cabin on here as well, so that's done nice and early.
Flight attendants, please prepare for takeoff.
Almeria traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike, taxiing off stand 22 to taxi via Delta to holding point Sierra 4 for runway 25. Okay, releasing the parking brake. And we'll start the off-block time. Hopefully we'll be able to see the taxi line. There it is. When we're taxiing nice and straight, we'll then do a flight control check as well. And now we're away from where everybody is, we can also get on the weather radar and predictive wind shear. Sadly, they don't work, but we'll keep into good habits, shall we? So, as we're going nice and slowly, full left, full right, neutral, full up, full down, neutral, and rudder, full right, rudder, full left, and neutral. I would also...
traffic, Easy 5182, behind the company A320, push and start onto Bravo.
Just listening to the company traffic there. Yeah, so I shall also... I was going to say pop the terrain radar on again. That's just good practice. Sadly, doesn't work. Be great when that's not no longer in op. Let's run the PEDS check then. So it's going to be a toga takeoff. No change there. QNH still 1016. Our engine out procedure, a reminder, is non-standard, so we need to pull that heading bug nice and early. And then we are 13 miles from Almeria VOR. It's a left turn to heading 200, then at 2,000 feet a left turn to the max set holding point. Departure matches almost what we have on the FMGC, and our stop climb altitude is flight level 100. A reminder that we're going to pull the heading bug anyway once we get to 15 miles from the Almeria VOR. We can see that figure just down here on the bottom of the navigation display, currently 5.2. So we can make that 17-mile DME arc.
Cabin crew seats for takeoff, please.
One of the problems since sim update number 5, of course, flying at night time, is that other traffic on VATSIM, sadly, no longer illuminates, which is a great shame. So we can't see traffic with their strobe lights flashing, and we don't have TCAS either. So lots of threats there. Okay, before takeoff checklist to the line. Flight controls checked, departure briefing confirmed, flap setting config 1 set, transponder is set, ECAM memo takeoff no blue, electronic flight bag is stowed. Lewis Aviation, good evening sir, hope you're well. Greg, this isn't default scenery, no, this is a free mod available from flightsim.to, as is our arrival airport actually. So look forward to seeing what that looks like at night time. So the fact that we can't actually see any lights from any aircraft coming in on final means I can't actually see if our approach path is clear. I've not heard anything on Unicom, so I think we're all okay. Lions Den on Facebook, good evening. And let's just hold that there. I've had the dome light on, which means I've completely forgotten to turn up the panel lights. There we go. Okay, so as we are now ready, let's just double check those brake temperatures. They're all fine. Takeoff and a line-up path is clear. So let's get our lights on. Strobes, runway turn off, landing lights and nose lights. Pack 1, Pack 2, transponder and TCAS. Before takeoff checklist below the line. Cabin secured for takeoff. Engine mode selector is normal. TCAS TARA packs off. Anti-ice off. Almeria traffic. Alpine 34 Alpha Mike departing now runway 25 on the RISPO 1 Yankee departure. So let's go ahead and line up. And then we'll see how we do manually flying this DME arc. 17-mile DME arc. We begin the turn at 15 miles. Ooh, a nice little slither of moonlight there. Okay, so we're ready and let's go. So, takeoff. Hang on, one thing I haven't checked. I didn't do the FMA and takeoff data. 132 blue, 137 magenta, climb nav blue, 10,000 blue, 1FD2 and toga. And I'm sure I've just heard lightning. Okay, takeoff. Start the chrono. Set 50% N1. Engine stabilize, set takeoff thrust. Man toga,
Almeria,
SIS, runway.
518-2, lining up runway 25.
Check.
V1 and rotate. Nav.
Airac.
So we're actually ignoring the navigation at the moment, as we want to fly this DME arc. Set climb thrust, thrust climb, climb, pack 1 on. So we can't use autopilot for this. Pack 2. So I'm going to pull the heading bug, open climb, heading, autopilot 1, now engaged.
Almeria traffic, U518-2, taking off runway 25, Rispo 1 Yankee departure.
And that is a beautiful bit of moonlight reflection just there. Spoilt by the storm. Passing S speed, flap 0, spoilers disarmed. Okay, with no air traffic control around, I'm going to give us a higher climb altitude. And we're going to set flight level 200 for now. So you can see the nav would have had us turning now, but we can't turn until 15 miles. We're now going to come to the VOR rows. And we'll begin that right-hand turn at 15 miles. As I'm going to be busy doing a manual DME arc. Happy now to get the lights off. Don't need those. And set standard pressure. So now we want to try and pop that VOR direction at a 90-degree angle. So let's make that right hand turn.
Ladies and gentlemen, please keep your seatbelt fastened while the seatbelt sign is on. We recommend that you keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you are seated. Toilets are located at each end of the cabin. Remember that smoking is not permitted at any time. This includes e-cigarettes.
And we're now above minimum safe altitude, so even though we're very close to the terrain, we know that we are safe. So we're just slightly a bit further away than I would have liked. We're 18 miles out, as opposed to 17, so we can just cut back inside a little bit.
Almeria traffic speaker 208,
And twisting this dial, I keep zooming in, which is a bit of a pain. So the idea is to get this at a 90 degree angle. I came in too far, as you can see. We're now 16 miles. So what we're going to do is we'll maintain this heading, then wait till we get to 17 miles, then we'll set that at a 90 degree path. It's so much easier, of course, when the flight management computer can do this for us. Although it is good practice to be able to do this manually. And we can just check how we're doing with our plan just there. And that radial of 351 is when we want to begin the left-hand turn towards Ritzbo, at which point we'll engage the autopilot into nav mode. .8 miles. Just keep that coming around. Here comes the 351 radial. Speed, Alt Star, so we're at 20,000 feet. Now we're going to go direct to Ritzbo, and that will put us into nav mode. We should start making a left-hand turn as we cross that radial. That actually works quite nicely. And we're now free to climb to our cruising altitude of flight level 380. So let's set flight level 380. Thrust climb, climb 380 blue. And we can let the cabin crew know they're safe to unbuckle their seatbelts, as can the passengers. So now the automation can do its stuff, put the dome light back on. Good evening, Leonard. Good evening, Air Trooper 37. Hope you're well. So yeah, that was certainly not a straightforward departure. Strangely enough, Azobo's flight management system, so if you're flying the stable build or the dev build of the fly-by-wire mod, that can do DME arcs. It's just the experimental build, which the custom flight plan manager has, sadly not yet integrated, which is why we had to do that manually. And to be honest with you, I made a little bit of a mess because I cut in too sharp, so we ended up getting a bit too close. Need more practice doing stuff like that. Alex, yep, I'm still using a fuel factor of +8. So now we're in the cruise. Now is indeed a good time to ask questions. Trooper 37. Actually, we're still in the climb, aren't we? But happy to monitor that whilst we're climbing. So, Trooper 37, fire away. And anybody else that had a question whilst we were on the ground, feel free to ask away now. Oliver Smith, I don't take mod requests. The Nightbot would get jealous. Richard, you use a fuel performance factor of +23 for a 4 to 5 hour flight. Oh, fair enough. That does seem a little bit much, I must admit, but if it's working for you. Flysim 123, you just purchased Pack X. I had a heart attack when it wasn't showing anywhere, but you got an email and you could then install the install. See, I don't use Pack X, so I'm not quite sure how it works. Lions Den, am I from Almeria? No. Do I sound Spanish? I use Streamlabs OBS Ventura for streaming. Thierry, why is the weather and terrain radar in up? It's because it's not yet working in the experimental version. The fly-by-wire team have yet to got it coded for this particular aircraft. Alex 5150, is the flight level chosen by SimGrief correct? 99% of the time it is, yes. Antrak, good evening. Triple seven. When you put the arrival in UFMC, the aircraft's turning back. Right. Okay. Yeah, I know what you mean. So when you bear in mind, you should put your arrival in on the ground at your destination airport. Otherwise, the fuel calculations aren't all correct. But yes, if you then update the star whilst flying, then it will revert and it'll be a bit of a mess. The experimental version, which I'm flying right now, doesn't do that, which is why I like it. Julian Hill, let us know how you get on with that. Hopefully that'll work for you. Drini, is Autoland working fine after the update? Do you know, Drini, I haven't tried it. So I'm afraid I can't help you there. The sun is long gone, but we still have a nice orange hue on the horizon.
In just a few moments, we'll commence our in-flight service, offering you the chance to purchase a selection of hot beverages, together with drinks and snacks from the bar. We accept payment in pounds, euros, most major currencies, and debit or credit cards. The correct change would be greatly appreciated, and if we can be of any further assistance, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
Plane spotter Luca. Right, what you need to do is check out the video I posted a couple of days ago with World Update number 6 download problems. It'll tell you how to fix that. You have to download the Xbox app. Check that out. It'll show you how to do it, and you should be back flying again in no time. Hi Synth, you started VATSIM. Excellent, well done. How's it going? Any tips for IFR flights? Arguably, IFR flights are far easier than VFR flights. You don't have to remember any airspace rules or anything daft like that. It's a matter of repeating back instructions. The only other thing I think is just make sure you know how to fly your aircraft, mate. That's it. If you know how to fly your aircraft, then you can do whatever ATC asks you to do. Really, when do you need to turn on the wing lights? To be fair, really, we could have popped them on tonight because wing lights are normally popped on at night time, so I can pop those on. There you can see them. But they're used to check for icing. Well, I don't think we need to worry about that in the south of Spain at this time of year. But that's what they're used for, so you wouldn't use them in the daylight. Triple 7 is the Ryzen 5 900 RTX 380 Ti, good for flight sim. You're asking the wrong guy, but those specs are better than mine, so I'd say yeah. Lewis, you've just ordered a pizza after training. What? I thought you footballers were all into protein shakes and pieces of turkey. Andrew, Flight Simulator decided to overstress your aircraft on takeoff. You're not impressed. I think we've had that happen once. Plane spotter Luca, if you check out the channel, it was only posted a couple of days ago, so you'll find it. In fact, I think if you go to the channel homepage, it's the featured video that's on there playing as you get there. Hi Synth, you're trying to write everything down? Yeah, that's a pain. But the more you do it, the more you start to be able to anticipate what the air traffic controllers are going to ask of you. And when that happens, that's pretty neat. 777, how did I get the bar at the top with all the information? That is from Flight Live Studio. Remember, of course, that is only used for streaming. It's a streaming overlay, which means I can't see it, so I have no idea if it's giving you the correct information or not. Mustafa GT, hello. Have I noticed any tiny stutters while taxiing on airports after World Update 6? No, I haven't, to be honest. Lewis, you had a game yesterday and you've been training all week and got the weekend off. Ah, fair enough. So when can we expect to watch you on telly then, Lewis? We'll put a bet on you scoring. Or are you a goalkeeper? In which case I am not putting that bet on because I'm not going to win, am I? Really, do I play other sims or games? I used to play loads when I was younger and didn't have kids. You have more time. Alex5150, do I have a video on auto landing? Yes, I do. Again, I think the best way to do that is go to YouTube and maybe search in Easyjetsimpilot, fly-by-wire auto land, something like that. Should hopefully bring that up for you. Matty Gaming, so it says 350 while we're at 340. Yeah, I mean, the altitude's not always exactly right, but I think that's a simulator issue, to be honest with you. Hi, Cynthia, first words radio check. You were sweating and didn't breathe. Yeah, I remember that. Oh, Lewis, if you're in central midfield, that's worth a pop. Climbing very slowly. What's ISA? +4. That's alright. Destination fuel on board below minimums. Yeah, it really isn't. It just doesn't work yet. Be nice when this is working as well. We'll be on the ground in an hour. So I hope everyone's got some nice plans for the weekend. Weather seems to have changed here in the UK. It's been beautiful while everyone's been working, and then in true British fashion, horrible at the weekend. Air Trooper 37, you posted a problem. Posted a problem where? Air Trooper 37. Lewis, you're a bit more defensive. Well, that's fair enough. Skyline Marty, you did an auto land the other day, and when retard was called, you pulled the throttle back into reverse. Good thing your crash damage was turned off. Yeah, that's not going to end well, is it? Anti-jib spotter. Engine 1 dies after loading up. That's interesting. Air Trooper 37, let me have a quick look. I can only scroll up so far. Oh, right, okay, so Air Trooper 37, if autopilot's been knocked off and your aircraft's gaining height, something tells me that... Hang on a sec, Mac Alt Cruise. Do you mean it happens right as you're about to touch down? If that's the case, it's probably because your auto thrust is targeting a speed constraint from way back on your flight. Either that, or it could be an angle of attack protection, which sets toga thrust and knocks your autopilot off.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, we'll be delighted to hear that we're now at our cruising altitude, and we hope to give you nice views throughout the flight as we have good weather ahead and should be experiencing many turbulence. Of course, this means that you will not spill any of your drinks that you may have from the cabin crew as they begin to start making their way around the aircraft. Could you please ensure that the eyes are kept clear so the cabin crew can offer you their cabin service, which will begin shortly. A reminder that Easyjetsimpilot channel members are able to access free drinks throughout the duration of the flight. Thank you, and I invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the remainder of the flight.
So Air Trooper 37, it happens when you're coming into land. Yeah, it sounds like your aircraft auto thrust is targeting a speed restraint at some point on your approach path. The way around that, of course, is when you know your VAP speed, just set that. Pull the speed bug, and then it won't spool up. It'll just hold the approach speed. Callum, I have seen the CCTV screen on the lower ECAM, yes. Matty Gaming, you need to update your fly-by-wire. You added thrust and the aircraft didn't move, but the airspeed went up. That's a contradiction in terms, isn't it? Anana, let's have a look how we're doing at Anana. Oh, I've just sneezed. I think I muted the microphone in time. Tell you, this cold that I've got, courtesy of the kids. 22 minutes. Okay, a couple of minutes behind schedule. And we should have, what should we have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We should have about 4.1 tons of fuel. Ooh, that's not quite right. Burnt a lot more fuel than expected there. Well, a couple 100 kilograms more. But fair enough. Cycle those SD pages. Landing elevation auto, cabin altitude and pressure differential is all fine. Electric page is good, 3000 psi on the hydraulics. We've used 2 tons of fuel. Yeah, that's okay. -24 in the cabin. Brake temperatures are good. Flight control computers all good as well. System status is normal. Okay guys, I'm just going to step back into the galley. I'm going to go and blow my nose. When we come back, we're going to start talking about this this approach. Back in a moment. Oh, back with you. Tell you, school kids and colds. What a combination. Andrew, am I aware of a way to have the McDo on the iPad? No. That would be great though, wouldn't it? Roland, when coming in on an ILS approach and disengage your autopilot, should you disengage auto thrust as well? No, not at all. The Airbus is designed to have auto thrust on from takeoff to touchdown. Treat moment, do I always install needed scenery and then uninstall it after a flight? Yes, I do. Yeah. Keep that community folder as clean as you can. Jem, am I doing the I-95 on Sunday evening? I'm hoping to. I am hoping to. It does all depend. Sadly, family life does get in the way sometimes. And by family life, I mean kids kicking off. Right then. So, let's have a look at this approach. Now, I'm unfamiliar with this airport. It's brand new to me. It is an airport Easyjet do land at, though. So, I'm just going to check the arrival, actually. So, the Donner 9 Victor is... what else have we got? We've got the 9 Victor, 9 Sierra, and 9 Bravo. Ah, we don't need to use this one. Oh, this is to be used when the Bravo Zulu NDB is unserviceable. Right, hang on then. Let's have a look at the other ones from Donos. I didn't think this looked like a very good approach. Right, so the 9 Mike takes us to the Biarritz VOR. The 9 Bravo takes us to the NDB. Just checking there's no restrictions on this. And then the RNAV arrivals. Oh, here we go. This looks better. Right, so this is the one we want. We actually want the Donus 9 Sierra, and the initial approach fix is the Bravo Zulu NDB. Right, well, let's go ahead and change that. And this is why I like the Custom Flight Plan Manager. So it's still going to be ILS 27 Zulu. But what did I say it is? Donus 9 Sierra. This is a case of SimBrief just not giving us a good standard arrival route, which in all honesty I normally check, but tonight sadly I didn't have time. Donus 9 Sierra inbound via the Bravo Sierra NDB. So let me just go ahead and pop that one in. Oh goodness me. Hello you. Don't know if you guys can hear that. The cat's just made an appearance. Bet you guys didn't know we got a cat. You've all heard the dog go nuts when the postman comes. Don't rip my carpet up. Daft cat. Right, now let's have a look at that approach, shall we? Let's go to the plan. And hopefully this should look a lot better. There we go. Let me just bring that in a little bit. Yep, so let's just check out the coding of that then. So let me just make this a little bit smaller. Close that. So after Donus, then we have Bravo Zulu 503, 503, and then that says by ATC. So if ATC were online, they could give you a direct. Instead, the full approach then takes you to 501. And then 27, and then in nice and straight for the approach. And to be fair, we'll be on the ILS by this point. Good. Roland, which is the first officer, the cat or the dog? No, they're both cabin crew. Except I'm the one that has to serve them. Right, well, now we've got the right star in there. We can start doing a bit of a brief. So it's the Donus 9 Sierra that we're coming in on, and then that is for, and let me just pin that actually. There we go. And then that's for arrival on runway 27. That's the wrong chart, so now I can get rid of that. We don't need that one anymore. In fact, can I remove that? I can remove that, can't I? Let me just get that chart back up. The Donus 9. So yeah, there we go. So there we are. We want to be lower than 9,000 feet, above 6,000 feet, and then between 3,000, 3,500, 501. So if we aim for, we want to be slowing down as well, so if we aim for 3,000 feet by Bravo Zulu 501, that should be fine. So let's pop that in, Bravo Zulu 501 in the prog page. There we go. And we're going to aim for 3,000 feet by then. What are we currently at? We're at flight level, what are we at? Are we at 380? Yeah, we're just We're at flight level 380. So we can start our top of descent around 105 miles away. Actually, we do need to slow down as well, so let's make that 115 miles away. Gives us time to slow down. There were a few speed constraints there, so as you can see at this point here, we also have a speed constraint of 220 knots, and that's going to be fine. As we do come in to land, then let's just have a look. We have got minimum safe altitude of 7,300 feet to the south. If we actually use the VOR, it's 6,800 feet, which is just there. We can also use that as an aid for our descent, to be fair. So let's pop that in. Bravo Tango Zulu. I would check that ILS frequency is correct as well. 111.35, 111.35 ILS DME. So that's fine. All looks good. So we're going to keep an eye now on that progress page. 182 miles away. From there, we're going to start our top of descent about 115 miles away. So not that long now till we start to head down. We can also do a landing calculation. In order to do that, actually, I just need to do a quick fuel check. So at Brito, we're going to be there in about 5, it's about 36 miles away. Let's have a quick look. We'll be there in 4 minutes, so that's about 41 minutes into the flight. So I've actually made up a little bit of time, so that's okay. We should have around 2 point, we just work this out, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, around 3.6 tons. We've got 3.4, so we've got 200 kilograms less than expected. So it's around half a ton. So when we land, we should have half a ton more. So call that 2.6 tons when we land. So if we're going to have 2.6 tons when we land, we've got 3.4 now, minus 2.6 is 0.8. We're currently at 62.9 tons, minus 0.8 gives us 62 point. So if we do a landing performance calculation for 62, let's call it 63 tons. So let's go to our landing page, and before I can do this, actually, oh no, I don't need to get the I don't need to get the weather. It'll bring that in automatically for us. However, I do need the runway elevation, which is 219. And the runway heading, which is 269. So let's go pop that in. What is the SAO code of this? I'm unfamiliar with this airport, so not entirely sure. It is Lima Fox Bravo Zulu. Get the METAR for it. And so that runway altitude again is 269. Runway heading is is... oh, sorry, no, the runway heading is 269. The altitude is 219. Runway condition is dry. No runway slope. Landing distance available. What have we got here? It's not the longest of runways. Runway 27 is 2230. Approach speed we guess at 130 for now, and that landing weight we were going to calculate at 63 tons. Fully configured. Calculate. Auto brake low should stop us then. Let's just have a look at the taxiway layout. Right, ideally we want to get off. Can we get off at Papa? Have we got any restrictions there? There's a turning pad at the end. I'm just looking to see if we've got any restrictions here. It's not a big airport. This is actually quite small. Taxiway November 1. We're okay on there. November 3. Can't go on there, but we wouldn't be doing anyway. Sierra 1 is prohibited. We're not going that side of the airfield. Or Taxi 1. 180-degree turns are compulsory on runway end areas for aircraft exceeding a maximum takeoff weight of 30 tons. Aerodrome likely to be covered by sea haze in a few minutes. Fair enough. There's nothing to tell us we can't get off at Papa, so that'll be fine. We'll go auto brake low, and if that's not stopping us as well as I think, then we'll use the manual brakes. Right, how far are we away from that top of descent? Oh, still a few miles to go just yet. Transition altitude then, as we're coming in, is 5,000 feet. Platform altitude is 2,500 feet, which is mandatory at IBZ27. And then minimum safe altitude we've already briefed at 6,800 feet, as there is terrain beneath us to the south of the airfield. And let's just check. It's going to be 419, the decision altitude. So, just before we head down, let's get the latest weather. Send that off. Matty Gaming, I don't have any sounds with airlines. All the cabin sounds are coming from self-loading cargo.
Ladies and gentlemen, take full advantage of your tax-free allowances today and make some amazing savings with our boutique range. In your in-flight brochure, you'll find details of our award-winning selection of gifts, most with massive discounts, some of which are exclusive to you as an Easyjet customer. Make the most of your opportunity to shop and save from the comfort of your seat. If you'd like to see any products, have any questions, or would like to make great savings, then just ask us as we join you in the cabin shortly.
So, we should have that weather information for us now. Let's have a quick look. I need to write this down. We don't press the print button, do we? Oh, beautiful. So, wind 230 at 2. Cav OK. 19 degrees. 1020. So I'll set the standby instrument up. Onto that performance page then, and then we'll be about ready to start heading down. QNH 1020, temperature of 19 degrees, wind 230 at 2, transition altitude 5,000 feet, decision altitude is 419. That gives us a VAP then of 129, so we're going to be slightly slow, so landing performance checks are fine. Let's just go back and check that prog page, see where we are. Alright, we're about ready to start going down. So we're going to set a altitude to begin with of flight level 90. So let's head down. So set flight level 90. Thrust idle, open descent 090 blue. Lou, once you've tried the experimental, it's impossible to go back. That is true. Even with the INOP systems, it's fine. Tom B, the McDo cannot calculate auto brake settings, no. Dawkins Gaming, you're just learning how to fly the A320, so all of this is totally overwhelming, but you're hoping to pick up some info out for you. Right, Dawkins, check out the real world procedures tutorials. And there are also some very basic tutorials on the channel as well. But yeah, other than that, just watch the live streams that we do. We do them very regularly, and you'll see that yeah, we do everything by the book on this channel. Usually, when doing a real ops flight. And if you have any questions, ask. Don't ever be scared to ask. And do I have any insider information about when the terrain and weather radar may reappear? I'm afraid not. Lou, sorry, not Lou, Tom, regarding the auto brake, it's pilot's discretion. You can run the performance calculations and choose to run them with auto brake low set or auto brake medium, and it's entirely up to the pilot to decide which he wants to do. Obviously safety is paramount. Treadwoman, you don't know what it's called, but the screen which shows where you are literally turned off for some reason. You had to cancel the VATSIM flight. This screen, the navigation screen. Wow. Could you not fly using the first officer screen? We had that coming into Tokyo, I think. Yeah, we had that coming into Tokyo, so I shimmied across the pedestal and flew from the right-hand seat, which was strange. So we're just monitoring that rate of descent now. And you can see we're 100 miles away from the airport itself, which given our altitude means we're pretty much nicely on profile, so that's really good. Amabel, yeah, the FlyByWire team have released a document, a pilot's briefing docs on their website. But if you want what I would say is a completely almost step-by-step guide to a lot of the stuff that I do here, and it's the one that I use, written by our regular real-world A320 type-rated pilot, HD, who's sadly not with us tonight. Then join our Discord server, and on our Discord server in the pilot's briefing room there is a whole ton of information which is incredibly useful. Alex, is there any chance I can do a few flights in the US? Well, we normally do the fly-by-wire test flights in the USA, and a lot of the mileage Monday hauls that we do are also in the USA as well, so we do visit there from time to time when we step out of the Easyjet flight deck. Roland, it would be the switching panel down here that you could change the various information. Switch it from well, there's three computers. So we're at flight level 260 now, still heading down. The strange thing about nighttime, of course, is, and I think Microsoft Flight Simulator does do this very well, it's very easy to get disorientated. I've just realised the cat's passed out behind me. Bless him. So we've got the weather and landing information. Flight management guidance computer is all prepared. Landing elevation is 219. Auto brake is set to low. We've done our arrival briefing, and sadly the terrain radar, which we would have on given the terrain that we're going to pass over on our arrival, isn't working. Standby instrument is set to the local QNH, and ECAM status is all checked. One thing I do just want to check is these distances. So just need to be aware. We can't go any lower than 6,000 feet at Donos. But then we've got 15 miles between Donos and Bravo Zulu 501. So that's absolutely fine. The main thing here is the speed restrictions, a maximum of 220 knots at 503. So we need to have slowed right down by that point. Treadway, sadly the weather radar is also in up. There's a sticker for that one too, just down there. One day those stickers will be ripped off. Do you know what would be kind of neat when they do rip them off? If there's a little change in the texture behind where the sticker would be. You know, like when you peel something off and it looks a fraction cleaner than the rest of the flight deck. Abimail, since the last update your sim constantly crashes to desktop. Have you deleted your rolling cache if you used it? Emptied your community folder? It's usually a bad mod that causes the issues. Roland, where did I get the distance from on the charts? Right, so if you have a look, that little 70 there, so it's 7 miles between Donos and 503, and then it's 7.8 miles between 503 and 501. 4.5 miles between those, 6.2 miles between those. So they're going to have us actually at 3,000 feet for quite a while actually. So 3,000 feet, 200 knots. We're going to be burning fuel as we come in there. And I'm just checking 501. Yeah, the initial approach fix there, 501. And then mandatory actually. Oh, that's a bit naughty. So 27 wants to be above 3,000 feet on that chart. However, on this chart, it's mandatory to be at 2,500 feet. Then we'll fly 2,500 feet for 4 miles and then intercept the ILS. Okay, well, now we know that. It's rather confusing, isn't it? Not seen that before. So we're still nicely below the profile. What we can do now is we can just reduce that rate of descent ever so slightly. So we've just gone speed, a VS speed of 170. No point getting down too quickly because of the terrain just here. Look, we can't go any lower than 6,000 feet at Donos. Let's turn the constraints on now as well as we prepare for our arrival. That is a lot of wind turbines. PV981, you are so very welcome. Thank you very much for watching. Just looking to see if we've got any ATC around. Bordeaux Control is online. I don't know if they control this airfield. If they do, they'll obviously give us a ping, which is 125.1. In which case, I'm just going to set that just in case. 125.1. In case they give us a ping and ask us to contact them, we can then go ahead and do that. Tell you, is the star applicable to multiple runways? Well, as this airport only has one, I'm going to say no. Sorry, if this airport only has one, I'm going to say no. There are a lot of stars that are applicable to multiple runways, but then there are lots of airports where if it has multiple runways, they have different stars for each runway. So it's all a case of checking the charts to find out. Kevin Soul, good evening, sir. Hope you're well. GD, talking of wind turbines, it'd be interesting to zigzag between the turbines at Colwyn Bay in a single engine prop. Whatever floats your boat. So I've reduced that speed now to 1,000 feet per minute. Sorry, reduce the descent rate to 1,000 feet per minute. We're going to start slowing the speed down as well in a little bit. Mohammed, this isn't a study level, but for general day-to-day flying, it's advanced enough. Bedmunker, your sensitivity settings do not matter in the fly-by-wire mod. They should all be linear, so just a nice straight horizontal line. That's an oxymoron, isn't it? A straight horizontal line. But yeah, no, it does want to be a straight line from bottom left to top right. Tell you some of the charts for the stars have different constraints depending on the runways and approaching use. Yeah, that's true. But again, it's a case of reading the charts. It's how it works, basically. All the charts are different. Barry, how do you change comms in the V-Pilot? So you use VHF1 just here to change that. But make sure you've got AI assist turned off, otherwise he's going to be fiddling with your radios, and that's just annoying. Alex Jones, hello. Hope you're well. Will I be flying the Boeing 737 when it comes to Microsoft Flight Simulator? If I do, it will be a comedy stream. I have no idea how to fly Boeing. Completely out of my depth. 10,000 feet, seatbelt signs coming on. And we can turn the lights on too. Barry, no, I'm not using FS2 crew tonight. It's just me and only me. There's no one sat on the FO seat. So we can continue our descent down to a altitude flight level 060. And I'm going to continue that descent rate of 1,000 feet per minute. So speed and VS 1000. Just double check that chart again, make sure 6,000 feet is right, isn't it? Yeah. Riseman, I thought Bodo may control this airfield. Yes, but they've not pinged me just yet, so we'll wait and see. Callum, it would be an awesome series to learn Boeing along with you. The problem is, I've spent so long flying Airbus, and particularly over the last few months refining the Airbus, that I wouldn't want to start getting confused, to be honest with you. Christian, have I partied hard? My voice sounds... Yeah, welcome, Christian. I was saying to everyone earlier on, I am full of cold. Thanks to the kids. Back at school. So, yeah, their fault. So now we can just start to see the speed restrictions coming on the navigation display as well. Good to see the constraints are accurate. Is that accurate, actually? Oh, yes, that one is accurate. For some reason, it was just missing this one here at Donos. Yeah, Christian, after I finish this flight, I I need to go and get a drink or something. To be fair, Callum Robertson donated money towards a drink earlier on in the stream. Sadly, Callum, it might have to be a hot honey and lemon. We're actually just going to halt our descent at 7,000 feet, and the reason for that is we're currently inbound to Gomzo. Minimum safe altitude there is 6,700 feet, so I don't want to go any lower than that for obvious reasons. This is where the terrain radar would also have just pricked my interest. Christian, I've been sneezing down the microphone tonight. Luckily, every time I've done it, I've managed to hit the hit the mute button. Air Trooper 37, a shot of brandy. Do you know, I don't have any of that in the house. To be honest, I don't drink it that much. Not in fact, brandy. No, I don't drink brandy at all. Whiskey occasionally. But amaretto is the tipple of choice if I need the hardcore stuff. Robert, you're having issues with your landing speeds. The plane used to slow you down, now you have to do it yourself. Is there an issue? The issue is you're probably not activating the approach phase, which is something we're going to do in a moment. Alt star, that's 7,000 feet, so let's activate that approach phase. We'll go to perf, activate the approach. That's now done. VAP is now 128. David, Easyjet. We'll have to get Dark to do a special ill livery. Rise the Visitor Centre signed off. Ah, that's a shame. Well, he was never going to ping us anyway then, was he? Yeah, a tissue over the nose of the aircraft. And maybe a big red X painted on the door. Keep out. Just change the orange to green. Yeah, why not? Robert, once you've activated the approach, you'll start slowing down automatically with the as you start deploying the flaps. As long as you're in managed speed, of course.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly be landing. Please ensure your cabin bag is safely stowed with your laptop inside. Your tray table must be stowed, armrest down, and window blind open. You now need to be seated with your seatbelt fastened, ready for landing. Please help us by handing in any rubbish, newspapers, or magazines that you do not want to take with you. The toilets are no longer in service.
Okay, so we've set a flight level of 060. So VS speed 500, 060 blue. Turn on the landing system. We can see we're 17 miles out. Jack, does anyone else get the approach phase bug? It makes the flight plan go crazy. Yes, it does, but not in the experimental version with the custom flight plan manager from Azobo. So that's the reason we all love flying the experimental version. Trini, you wish there was a livery for Easyjet just like the cargo looks with the mask livery. That was a great bit of advertising, wasn't it, that? Air Trooper 37, a lot of Easyjet flying at Manchester today. Yes, indeed. You're watching the live stream and a Qatar taxied out with the pilots waving at the pub on the runway. Yeah, they're good. Seen that before. Been in that pub many times myself. So now we're going to start and reduce our speed to 220 knots. Which is the maximum speed. We could slow down to green dot. It's just more efficient. So we'll go into manage speed. There we go. Alt star. And we're going to get the... I'm just going to turn the lights out actually in a moment. And not just the lights out in the... flight deck, but also the lights in the office, so that I can actually see where it is we're landing. Nighttime landings always more difficult than daytime landings. Oh dear, did anyone hear me sneeze again? Okay, so we're going to start heading down to 3,000 feet now. Thrust idle open descent, and we also want to set the local QNH actually 1020. Thrust idle open descent 3,000 blue. We can see actually the speed isn't targeting green dot, it's targeting that speed constraint because we're in managed speed. It's targeting 220 knots. So I'm going to go and use selected speed. Biarritz traffic, Alpine 34 Alpha Mike is inbound the Bravo Zulu 501 initial approach fix on the Donos 9 Sierra arrival route, currently 4.5 miles out from Bravo Zulu 501, passing 5,000 feet. Just wondering if we could actually see the runway back there, but no, not quite. Actually, just need to get down a little more, so we'll just use a little bit of speed brake to help with that. The only reason I'm doing that is purely because of the constraints. As we can see, we're absolutely fine with regards to glide slope and things, but let's start configuring. So flaps 1. We'll keep it in managed speed for the time being, and we now want 2,500 feet. Speed and 1,000 feet.
traffic, Easy 5182 at Bravo Zulu 503, passing 4,200 feet for the ILS 27 Zulu, following the company traffic.
And we're going to set flaps 2 in a moment, but I need to slow the aircraft down because it's targeting those speed restrictions. So let's slow that down. And we can also arm the approach as well. Glide slope lock blue, Cat 3 dual, lock star, radio altimeter alive. And we shall set flaps 2 when we start to see the glide slope moving. Set a speed of 180 knots. Runway in sight. Glide slope is alive. Flaps 2. 8.5 miles out. Missed approach is also 4,000 feet, and we have to climb to 1,200 feet before we level off to accelerate. So we'll set that in a moment. Glide slope start. Missed approach altitude is set. Yeah, so if I was in managed speed now, it would target 220 knots because of this speed constraint, which I think what a few people are having issues with. The aircraft would speed up, and of course we don't want that. So, landing gear, spoilers armed. Ding the cabin, get the lights on. Flaps 3. We need to slow the aircraft down. Let's slow it down to 160 knots. And flaps 3. Can we go manage speed now? No, we can't. So we're going to set that ourselves. That VAP speed of 128. Flaps full. Landing checklist. Cabin is secured. Auto thrust. Speed. Go around altitude 4,000. Set ECAM memo landing. No blue. Slight wind from the right. 1,000 feet. Auto brake, autopilot is off. I have control. So, do we follow the PAPIs or the glide slope? Let's just try and keep the picture nice and steady. 500 feet, approach stable.
400. 100 above, 400.
There seems to be some terrain there, and
300.
not seeing this in the daytime.
200.
Those PAPIs are wildly inaccurate, aren't they?
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
We're down and we're in the landing zone. Spoilers deployed, reversers on. Auto brake slowing us down. "70 knots, reversers off. Disengage auto brake.
Biarritz traffic, EC 5182 on the ILS runway 27.
Ladies and gentlemen, the cabin crew will shortly be leaving their seats to perform safety-related duties. However, we ask that you remain seated until the fasten seatbelt sign has been switched off. Portable electronic devices for messaging, calls or internet access may now be used. Please make sure that you take all your personal belongings with you, checking in the seat pocket, underneath the seat and in the overhead lockers. Do take care when opening the lockers in case anything falls out. Smoking is not permitted until you reach a designated smoking area. On behalf of the captain and the crew, it has been our pleasure looking after you today. Our ground crew will help you complete your Easyjet journey. For the latest news, promotions, flight and destination information, check out our official Facebook page, Twitter or Easyjet app.
Biarritz traffic, runway 27 vacated. So the parking stand number 1 is just here, straight in front. So it's quite a nice, simple, easy taxi in. We'll try and hold that just there. Oh, I was panning and I forgot I can't stop that. That's a pain, isn't it? Parking brake is on. Let's get the radars off. And we can turn the transponder down to standby. We'll get the dome light back on. APU needs starting. Taxi lights, of course, can come off. Once the APU is started, we shall shut the aircraft down. Christian, managed speed wasn't working for me because of a speed constraint on the approach, which was a max speed. It was just annoying. The aircraft wanted to target it. That's why I turned that off. So I'm just waiting for the APU to run before we can shut those engines down. This is a really good handcrafted airport. As you can see, this looks really nice, doesn't it? Again, free from flightsim.to. Look at the bus shelters and the different signs over there. Really, really nice and neat. I do like this. So that APU will be on in a moment. There we go. APU is now running. Now we can shut the aircraft down. Shutting down engine 1. Shutting down engine 2. Seatbelt signs can now come off. Logbook can go away. There we go. 10% N1. Beacon light can come off. And do we have a ground power unit knocking about? Oh, we do. Let's get him connected up. Ground power unit is there. Can I also call any stairs or anything like that? Let's find out. Passengers, baggage, catering, all that palaver. There they are. And here they come. Okay, right guys. What a great little flight. Enjoyed that, and I always enjoy coming somewhere new as well.
Biarritz traffic, EC 5182, vacated runway 27.
So, get yourself a copy of this airport, just because I think it looks absolutely great. When you find this on flightsim.to, you will see that it's not actually been confirmed as compatible with Sim Update number 5. However, as we can see, it most certainly is, and it works really nicely. So, yeah, no issues at all. So, thank you so much, guys, for flying with me tonight. Apologies for the there we go. Apologies for the rusty voice this evening. I'm going to go and have a drink of something to try and take my mind off that. But I hope you all have a fantastic weekend. Looking forward to seeing you all on the next flight. Please do hit the like button on the stream as well. And of course, if you are new to the channel, you can also hit the subscribe button. Make sure you don't miss any future content on the channel, including future live streams and of course videos. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon. Have a great night. Bye bye.
ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck once again, I hope you have enjoyed your flight with us today here on Easyjet. On behalf of myself, the first officer and the cabin crew, may we wish you a safe and pleasant journey from the airport, and we hope to see you again very soon. In order to increase the comfort of your next flight, please take a look at joining the Easyjetsimpilot channel, and we offer extra perks for those frequent flyers. We look forward to seeing you again. Thank you once again for flying with Easyjet.